First story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my neighbor's haunted house scam? So, I 32 live in a quiet neighborhood where everyone pretty much keeps to themselves. Last month, my neighbor Tom 40 started making a big deal about his house being haunted. At first, I thought he was joking or maybe just trying to get some attention, but he took it to the next level. Tom began posting videos on social media claiming that strange things were happening in his house, lights flickering, doors slamming, and even eerie noises at night. He even set up a YouTube channel dedicated to his haunting, where he encouraged people to come investigate. I found it amusing at first, but then he started inviting local ghost hunters and influencers over for special events. Things escalated when he announced that he was charging admission for people to come experience the hauntings. Tickets were going for $50 a pop. I was shocked. Not only did I think it was unethical, but I was also worried that people would take advantage of this situation. One day, I decided to check it out. I hid in the bushes outside his house and watched as people lined up, excitedly talking about the hauntings. That's when I noticed that Tom was using all sorts of tricks to make it look spooky. He had a speaker set up playing sound effects, and I even saw him flicking the lights on and off with a remote. I couldn't just sit back and let him scam people like this. So, I filmed everything and put together a short video showing how he was faking the hauntings. I posted it online, calling him out for the scam, and it went viral. The backlash against Tom was intense. People who had bought tickets were furious and demanded refunds. Tom went into full damage control mode, claiming I was trying to ruin his business out of jealousy. He's been telling everyone I'm the villain for exposing him and that I'm just bitter because I don't have anything exciting going on in my life. Now, some neighbors are taking sides, saying I should have just let him have his fun, while others think I did the right thing by exposing him. Ada for ruining my neighbor's haunted house scam. Second story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my friend's wedding after he pulled a huge stunt? So, I 29 have a close friend, Jake 30 who recently got engaged to his girlfriend, Megan 28F. Jake has always been over the top, but his wedding plans were next level insane. He's renting out a castle for the ceremony, hiring a full symphony orchestra, and even booked a fireworks show for after the reception. I was excited for him, but also a bit concerned about how much all of this was going to cost. Anyway, I offered to help him out with some of the planning and even volunteered to be a groomsman. I thought I'd be a supportive friend, right? A couple of months into planning, he told me he was planning to have an extravagant entrance for the bride, where she would arrive in a hot air balloon. I thought it was a ridiculous idea, but hey, it's his wedding, right? Fast forward to the day before the wedding. Jake calls me in a panic because the hot air balloon company backed out last minute and he needs someone to take their place. That's when he casually suggests that I dress up as a knight and ride in on a horse to deliver Megan to him. I was dumbfounded. I told him that this was his wedding and he should find someone else for this ridiculous stunt. But he insisted that this would make his wedding legendary and that I was his best option. I refused. I thought it was absurd and embarrassing, and I had no intention of riding a horse in full medieval armor in front of everyone. I tried to suggest alternative entrances, but he brushed them off. I told him I would still be there for the wedding and support him in other ways, but I couldn't do this. The day of the wedding, I showed up dressed appropriately, but Jake was furious when he saw I didn't show up in night attire. He publicly berated me during the ceremony for ruining his wedding. Megan looked mortified. I stood there, feeling awkward, and when it was over, I quietly left. A few days later, Jake sent me a message demanding I reimburse him for part of the wedding costs, since he claimed I broke the spirit of the day. I was shocked. I told him that I'd never agreed to be the knight and that he needed to take responsibility for his own wedding choices. Now, some mutual friends are saying I'm the jerk for not supporting him and that I should at least help him out financially since he's so upset. Ada for refusing to pay for the wedding when I didn't agree to be part of this ridiculous plan. Third story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my friend after she stole my dog's name for her new puppy? I 31 have a dog named Milo, a sweet rescue I adopted a few years ago. Milo has been my best buddy, and I've always planned to give him a little brother or sister someday. Recently, I got a new puppy, and after thinking long and hard, I named him Milo Jr. to honor my first dog. I posted a bunch of adorable pics of Milo Jr. on social media, and my friends loved it. Now, here's where it gets complicated. My friend Sarah 30F has always been a bit competitive. We've been friends for years, but there's always been an underlying tension, especially when it comes to pets. I've noticed her constantly trying to one-up me with her cat and dog choices, but I've always brushed it off as her being quirky. Last week, I was shocked to learn that Sarah had adopted a puppy of her own. When I saw her post about it, my heart sank. She named her new puppy Milo without even a second thought. I couldn't believe it. I felt like she had completely disregarded the bond I had with my Milo, and it felt like she was stealing my thunder. I reached out to Sarah, half expecting her to apologize or at least acknowledge the coincidence. Instead, she laughed it off and said she thought Milo was just such a cute name that she couldn't resist. I told her how much it meant to me and that I felt uncomfortable with her using the same name, especially since I had just posted about Milo Jr. She responded that it was just a name and I was being overly dramatic. Frustrated, I decided to take it a step further. I posted on social media about the situation, sharing my feelings and how special my dog's name was to me. I mentioned that I couldn't believe a friend would take that away from me. I thought maybe if Sarah saw how much it bothered me, she'd reconsider. Well, that backfired spectacularly. My post blew up, and while a lot of people supported me, some of my other friends accused me of being possessive and not letting Sarah have her fun. They said it was just a name and that I was overreacting. Sarah, on the other hand, was furious. She blasted me on her own social media, claiming I was trying to ruin her happiness and that I was being selfish for wanting to keep the name Milo all to myself. Now, I'm in a tough spot. A lot of mutual friends have sided with Sarah, saying I'm being enough for trying to control what someone else names their pet. I feel like I'm justified in wanting to protect my bond with my dog, especially when I've been so vocal about it. Am I the a-hole for confronting Sarah about her naming my dog's namesake? Should I have just let it go? Fourth story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I won't attend family events until they apologize for their favoritism? I 28F come from a big family and I've always felt like the black sheep. Growing up, my parents, let's call them mum and dad, always seemed to favor my younger brother, Ethan 25M. He's charming, athletic, and just has a way of making everyone adore him. I've never had a problem with that, but it became an issue when I noticed how it affected my relationship with my parents. For example, whenever Ethan had a soccer game or a school event, my parents would clear their schedules to attend. I'd have to beg them to come to my dance recitals or school presentations. They'd often say they couldn't make it because something came up, but I could see the excitement in their eyes when it came to Ethan's achievements. Fast forward to now, and things haven't changed much. Ethan recently graduated college and got a great job, and my parents organized a huge celebration in his honor. They invited the whole extended family, but when I asked if they'd be celebrating my recent promotion at work, they brushed it off, saying it was not the same and that they'd do something for me later. After a few days of feeling resentful, I decided to confront my parents. I told them how I felt about the favoritism and how it made me feel insignificant compared to Ethan. They were taken aback and insisted they loved us both equally, but acknowledged that they might be more excited about Ethan's milestones because they felt he was just starting out in life. I expressed that I wouldn't be attending Ethan's celebration. I felt that it was time they realized how hurtful their behavior was. My parents begged me to come, saying it was a family event and that I shouldn't make a scene over something that wasn't intentional. I stood firm and said I wouldn't attend until they acknowledged how their actions affected me and apologized for making me feel like I didn't matter. That's when things escalated. My parents accused me of being dramatic and trying to ruin Ethan's big day. They claimed I was being selfish and that I should be supportive of my brother. I ended the conversation feeling more hurt than ever. The family celebration went ahead without me. I stayed home and posted a heartfelt message on social media about feeling overlooked and how it felt to be a perpetual second choice. Some family members reached out to support me, but others sided with my parents, saying I should have just let it go and been happy for my brother. Now, my parents are upset, and I'm getting pressure from other family members to apologize for my behavior. They think I should have just attended the event and not made a fuss. I'm stuck wondering if I was in the wrong for standing up for myself or if I'm justified in feeling the way I do. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend family events until my parents apologize for their favoritism? Update 1. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up. I really appreciate all the feedback, both supportive and critical. After some reflection, I decided to reach out to my parents again. I wanted to approach the conversation with a bit more understanding and explain how their actions made me feel, rather than just pointing fingers. We had a long chat, and I think they started to realize how deeply this affected me. They admitted they might not have been as aware of their favoritism as they thought, and even acknowledged that they could have handled things better. It felt good to get that off my chest. However, they still insisted they love us both equally, and while I get that, I'm still feeling a bit skeptical about how this will play out in the future. Update 2. I attended a family gathering last weekend, my parents' idea of a make-up dinner. They invited Ethan, and I was a bit nervous about how it would go. During the dinner, I made a point to share some of my recent accomplishments, and to my surprise, they actually engaged and asked questions. However, I couldn't help but notice that the conversation kept circling back to Ethan and his recent job. It was frustrating, and I felt that familiar sting of being overlooked creeping back in. I ended up saying something along the lines of, "I'd love to share more about my job too," which led to an awkward silence. Ethan quickly chimed in, trying to change the subject, but it was clear I had made my point.